The moment Mio went live, no one expected what followed. There was no makeup team, no scripted statement, no carefully framed backdrop. Just Mio, sitting still, eyes already red before she spoke a single word. Within minutes, the viewer count crossed hundreds of thousands. By the time she finally began talking, the number would climb past 700,000, each one waiting, confused, angry, disappointed, and hopeful all at once. This wasn't how Born to Shine was supposed to feel. The event had been promoted as a celebration, a milestone for LENAMIU, a moment meant to bring fans closer, not push them into chaos. Tickets sold out almost instantly, and at first, the excitement drowned out everything else. But then the messages started coming in. Duplicate tickets, invalid QR codes, fans showing up only to be turned away, payments made through unofficial links that looked identical to the real ones. By the time the word scam began circulating, the damage was already done. What hurt most wasn't just the money lost. It was the trust. Fans began tagging Mio relentlessly, not with insults at first, but with questions. Did you know? Are you aware? Please say something. And for hours, there was nothing. No statement from organizers. No clarification from management. Just silence that grew heavier with every passing minute. That silence is what broke her. When Mio finally spoke, her voice cracked before she finished her first sentence. She didn't deny what happened. She didn't hide behind legal language or distance herself from responsibility. Instead, she said the words fans weren't sure they'd ever hear. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you better. That single line shifted everything. She explained that the scam wasn't run by the official team, but she didn't stop there. She admitted that the rollout had gaps, that warnings came too late, that fans trusted links and promotions because they trusted her. And that realization, she said, was what hurt the most. As comments flooded in, some angry, some forgiving, some heartbroken, Mio kept going. She apologized again and again, not reading from a script, but responding to the emotion in real time. At one point, she stopped speaking altogether, overwhelmed by messages from fans saying they had saved for months just to attend. The apology wasn't polished. It was messy, human, and painfully sincere. Meanwhile, LENAMIU's management finally released a formal statement outlining refund procedures and promising investigations. But fans noticed something immediately. Mio had spoken before the company did. She didn't wait for clearance. She didn't hide behind the brand. She stepped forward alone. That mattered. Of course, not everyone was satisfied. Some fans felt the apology didn't bring back what they lost. Others questioned why safeguards weren't stronger in the first place. But even among the criticism, there was a shared acknowledgement that Mio didn't disappear when things got ugly. She stayed. As the live stream ended, the number was frozen in people's minds, 700,000. Not ticket holders, not followers, witnesses. People who saw an idol confronted not by success, but by responsibility. In the days that followed, the narrative slowly began to change. Less outrage, more reflection. Fans began distinguishing between scammers, organizers, and the artist herself. Many pointed out that Mio's response, though imperfect, was rare in an industry where silence is often the default. The Born to Shine scandal will always be part of LENAMIU's history. There's no erasing that. But what came after, the apology, the vulnerability, the refusal to look away, may define them just as much. Because sometimes the biggest test of an artist isn't how they celebrate success. It's how they face the moment everything goes wrong, and who they choose to stand with when it does. But the story didn't end when the livestream went dark. In the hours after Mio's apology, screenshots began circulating, private emails, refund forms, late-night calls between organizers and venue partners. Fans noticed something else too. Mio stopped posting everything except updates related to the issue. No brand deals, no rehearsals, no distractions. Just one pinned message repeated across platforms. If you were affected, please don't give up. We will make this right. Behind the scenes, pressure was mounting. The LENAMIU team faced a storm they hadn't prepared for. Payment providers demanded explanations. Venue staff released their own accounts of the chaos. Some admitted they had never seen a crowd that confused, fans clutching screenshots, emails, proof of payment, yet being told their tickets didn't exist in the system. That disconnect fueled the anger online, but it also exposed how deeply fragmented the ticketing process had been. And in the middle of it all was Mio, no longer just an artist, but the face fans associated with both the dream and the disappointment. What surprised many was how she handled the days that followed. Instead of retreating, she began replying to fans individually, not through a team account, not with copy-paste responses, actual replies, some short, some emotional, some apologizing again, even when the message she received was harsh. One fan wrote, "I skip rent to be there." Mio's response was simple, "I can't undo that choice, but I promise I will not let this be ignored." That reply went viral. Soon, former fans who had sworn they were done began softening, not because the situation was fixed, but because they felt seen. The refunds were slow. Investigations were ongoing. But the human connection shifted the tone. Then came the hardest moment. At a closed-door meeting with management, Mio reportedly refused to promote any future events until every affected fan was compensated. It wasn't a dramatic walkout. It wasn't leaked by her team. It came out weeks later through an internal source, and when it did, it changed how people saw her role within LENAMIU. She wasn't distancing herself from the brand. She was holding it accountable. As the controversy cooled, a quieter conversation emerged among fans. What does responsibility look like when you didn't directly cause the harm, but your name made it possible? For many, Mio had already answered that question. The Born to Shine name now carries a double meaning. What was meant to represent growth and celebration instead became a painful lesson about trust, systems, and the cost of moving too fast. But it also revealed something rare, an artist choosing discomfort over disappearance. Weeks later, when LENAMIU finally reappeared together in public, there was no performance, no announcement, just a short message read aloud, "We're rebuilding this properly, or not at all." No cheers, no applause, just quiet. And in that silence, fans understood something important. The scandal didn't end LENAMIU. It stripped them down until only sincerity was left. And for some, that was the first real reason to stay. The quiet didn't last forever, but it changed everything. Days after that brief appearance, industry insiders began whispering about internal fractures within LENAMIU. Contracts were being reviewed. Partnerships quietly paused. One sponsor reportedly asked for a full audit before continuing any collaboration connected to Born to Shine. It wasn't punishment, it was caution. The kind that comes when trust has been shaken at every level. Fans felt the shift too. The comment sections, once explosive, grew thoughtful. Instead of rage, people began sharing their own stories. First concerts gone wrong, savings lost for a dream, the sting of feeling invisible. The controversy had turned into something bigger than LENAMIU. It became a mirror. Then came Lena. For weeks, she had stayed silent, letting Mio take the front line. When she finally spoke, it wasn't through a flashy post or a dramatic video. It was a handwritten letter, scanned and uploaded without filters. No music, no background, just words. She admitted what many suspected but few expected to hear out loud. She hadn't known how bad it was until it was already happening. Systems were trusted. Reports were delayed. Warnings came too late. And that, she wrote, was something she would carry. What struck fans wasn't the explanation. It was the line that followed. Silence can hurt just as much as mistakes. That sentence spread faster than any apology before it. Together, Lena and Mio announced a concrete plan, not vague promises. A verified refund tracker. A third-party ticketing audit. A temporary halt on all live events. And most unexpectedly, a fan advisory group, selected from those who were directly affected, to review future projects before launch. It was unprecedented. Still, not everyone was ready to forgive. Some fans walked away quietly, saying the memory was too raw. Others stayed skeptical, watching closely. But something had undeniably changed. LENAMIU was no longer untouchable. They were accountable. And that made their next move terrifying. When rumors surfaced about a comeback, not a concert, not a tour, but a stripped-down digital release, reactions were split. Some called it tone-deaf. Others saw it as cautious. No tickets. No payments. Just music and a message. On release night, the song dropped without warning. No countdown. No promo. The opening line wasn't poetic. It was direct. If you trusted us once and lost something, this is for you. The track wasn't perfect. Vocals cracked. The arrangement was minimal. But that imperfection made it hit harder. Fans listened in silence, reading the lyrics like a confession rather than a performance. By morning, the conversation had shifted again. Not to charts, not to numbers, to intention. The Born to Shine era, once defined by excitement and chaos, had become a case study in fallout and fragile rebuilding. And as Lena and Mio stepped forward together, without excuses, one truth became clear. This wasn't a redemption arc yet. It was a test. And for the first time since the scandal broke, everyone, fans, critics, even LENAMIU themselves, was willing to wait and see what they would do next. The weeks after the digital release marked a new rhythm for LENAMIU. Gone were the flashy announcements and coordinated hype campaigns. Every update was measured, deliberate. Mio focused on personal engagement, responding to fans, sharing reflections, and occasionally dropping behind-the-scenes glimpses of their creative process. Lena handled logistics and partnerships, ensuring that no misstep could replicate the chaos of the Born to Shine ticket incident. The duo had turned the scandal into a blueprint for accountability. Every fan interaction, every post, every project became a careful step toward rebuilding trust. Slowly, the audience began to respond, not with blind fandom, but with respect. Online, forums buzzed less about anger and more about curiosity. Could LENAMIU really navigate their own rules while still delivering the artistry fans loved? Industry insiders noticed the shift too. Networks and event organizers who once saw LENAMIU as simply another high-profile group began treating them differently. Contracts now included clauses for fan engagement audits. Event organizers proactively asked for transparency. The scandal, instead of diminishing their influence, had made them a benchmark for responsible celebrity management. But not everything was easy. Behind the scenes, tension lingered. Some team members struggled with the slower pace, eager to return to the old formula of spectacle and instant gratification. Fans who had left quietly weren't easily won back. And the constant spotlight meant that every new move, no matter how careful, was dissected online. Still, LENAMIU persisted. The turning point came when they announced a private fan showcase, limited to verified attendees who had been affected by the ticket issues. No external media, no unvetted live streams, just Mio, Lena, and a carefully curated experience designed to acknowledge, apologize, and celebrate those fans who had stayed. When the showcase concluded, the reaction was immediate. Social media erupted, not with complaints, but with gratitude. Videos of fans hugging each other, sharing letters, and expressing joy circulated quickly. For many, it felt like closure. For LENAMIU, it was proof that sincerity, vulnerability, and accountability could transform a crisis into a reinforced bond with their audience. By the end of early 2026, the narrative had shifted completely. The Born to Shine scandal was no longer just a moment of controversy. It had become a turning point, a story of how a global idol group could face failure, confront mistakes head-on, and emerge stronger. And while the future still held uncertainty, one thing was undeniable: LENAMIU had rewritten the rules of fan trust, accountability, and celebrity responsibility in 2026. The question now wasn't whether they could survive scandal, it was how high they could rise next.